The sky over Vespera full burned violet and red, as if the entire planet were engulfed in a massive fire. The ground trembled with every blast, shaking beneath my boots. I stood on a shattered ridge, sinking into the ash that had once been human steel, our steel. The wreckage of our starship, Horizon's crest, lay scattered like the bones of some giant metallic beast. And above us, two alien empires were tearing each other apart. Over the human wreckage, I took a careful step across the scorched ground. Every explosion, every streak of light, hammered my heartbeat faster. Plasma bolts arced across the sky, sizzling, and the scent of molten metal and burning grass filled my nose. Behind me, Lieutenant Mara struggled to stabilize the comms unit, her fingers trembling even inside her gloves. "Commander, they are not fighting for territory or resources, they are fighting for us," she said, her voice thin and shaking. I had already known. They thought we were dead. They were wrong. My heart pounded, not just with fear, but with responsibility. If these empires got their hands on Earth's technology, humanity would be finished. And I wouldn't let that happen. My name is Caravan. I'm human, and I know we are fragile, but we are also clever. Thoughts raced through my mind. How do we survive this? Can we even make it out alive? Can I save my team? Yet alongside the fear, there was hope. Humanity always shines brightest in moments like these, when everything seems lost. I glanced behind me, at the few remaining crew huddled near the wreckage. They were counting on me, and I silently promised, "I'll get you out alive. I'll protect you, no matter what." Vespera for itself was strange. Its grass was a violet hue, and crystal-like formations jutted from the ground. Every explosion made them chime like broken wind bells, as if the planet itself was witnessing the war. Far off, ancient Vesperan ruins stood silent, yet their stones seemed to echo the chaos of battle. Above, two fleets clashed like galaxies in miniature. The VYR coalition, crystalline and glowing, transparent in structure. The Drath Imperium, molten and roaring, waves of searing heat radiating outward. And both of them were focused only on the human wreckage. They assumed we were just debris, but the truth was, we were alive. And that made us dangerous. Explosions shook the ground, shards of alien craft raining down in molten arcs. I gestured to Mara. We moved carefully and watched them. We not prey. Yet in my mind, panic roared. If they realize we're alive, our lives are forfeit. For a moment, I looked at the other crew members crouched behind debris. Their eyes were wide with fear, but also hope. Humanity shines brightest when the odds are impossible. My breath came in sharp bursts. I knew every decision I made, every step I took, could determine not only my team's fate, but possibly the future of humanity. I'm just one human, but maybe that's enough. I straightened my back, gripping my small weapon firmly, and signaled to the remaining crew. We're starting now. Let's show them humans aren't weak. We fight. Then, a terrifying streak of light tore through the sky. Both VYR and Drath unleashed their massive aerial war machines on the human wreckage. This was only the beginning. The crew's eyes reflected fear, but my spirit burned with determination. Humanity has never cowered from a fight, and today, we would prove it again. This is only our first night of survival. The first blasts tore through the ridge behind us, sending shards of metal and crystal flying into the violet sky. The VYR's crystalline fighters danced like living shards of light, while the Drath war machines glowed red-hot, spitting molten plasma in deadly arcs. "Move! Get to cover!" I shouted, gripping my weapon tighter. Every step across the ash and shattered steel was a gamble. One misstep, and a stray plasma bolt could end us all. Mara scrambled beside me, her visor flickering. "Commander, their targeting systems are adapting. They are not just attacking the wreckage, they are scanning for life signs." I cursed under my breath. They thought we were insignificant. But once they realized we were alive, we'd be hunted like prey. I signaled to the rest of the crew. Split into two teams. We blew them apart. If we stay together, we die together. The team hesitated, fear plain in their eyes. But the time for hesitation had passed. I could feel it. The fire in my veins, the unyielding drive of humanity pushing me forward. As we darted behind a twisted slab of our starship's hull, I allowed myself a moment to scan the battlefield. Alien ships screamed across the sky, plasma bolts leaving trails of sizzling energy. The VYR's crystalline wings refracted the violet light, blinding some of our senses. The Dratha's molten engines fled, casting the ruins in a fiery glow. We were trapped between two superpowers, alien gods fighting over a piece of humanity, and we were still alive. Somehow, that fact alone made my heart pound with a mix of terror and defiance. Kara, we can't hold out forever. Mara yelled. Her voice was shaking, but so was mine. This was insane. Against such overwhelming force, we were nothing. Yet, even as doubt crept in, something inside me snapped. I had survived worse than this. Humans always find a way. Then we don't hold out forever. We fight smart. I said, my voice steady, firmer than I felt. We take one down at a time. We use what they don't expect. Humans aren't just strong, we're clever. I picked up a small, portable EMP device from the wreckage and held it tightly. If we could disable even a few of their targeting systems, it might give us a chance to escape. We split into two groups. I led the first, moving across the uneven ground toward a ridge that overlooked the Dratha's assault. Mara's team moved to flank the VYR. Every shadow was alive with danger. Every crater and twisted metal shard was a potential death trap. The first Drath plasma strike landed near our position, sending a shockwave through the ground. I barely managed to dive behind a shard of hull in time. The air smelled of burnt ozone and melting metal. I could feel the heat singe my face through my visor. Now! I yelled and activated the EMP. A pulse of blue-white energy rippled outward, disrupting nearby senses. A Drath fighter spiraled out of control, smashing into the crater below with a thunderous roar. Mara's team cheered over comms, their voices trembling with relief. It worked, Kara. 2 of their fighters are down. I didn't celebrate. Every victory was temporary. Every second we lingered increased the chance of being discovered. We had to move. We ran, dodging fire and leaping over jagged debris, each step a calculated risk. The VYR noticed Mara's team and turned toward them with crystalline speed, forcing them into defensive maneuvers. Meanwhile, my team reached a hidden passage beneath the ruins, a collapsed corridor that might lead to safety. Inside the corridor, I paused to catch my breath. My hands shook, but my mind raced with strategy. We couldn't just survive this battle. We had to survive long enough to warn Earth about these 2 alien superpowers. The stakes were no longer personal. Humanity's survival depended on our every decision. Suddenly, a low, resonant hum echoed through the corridor. I froze. The walls vibrated with the sound of massive engines approaching. The Drath and VYR had noticed us. They were closing in. Everyone, stay silent and move. I whispered. We crept forward, every footstep measured, hearts hammering. Even a single misstep could trigger sensors we didn't know existed. A shard of crystal fell from the ceiling as a plasma bolt hit nearby. Sparks scattered like fireflies. I realized then that survival wasn't enough. We had to be unpredictable, clever. We had to be humans. The corridor twisted downward, ending in a small chamber. I turned to the crew. This is our chance. We hold here, we plan, and then we hit them where it hurts most. One mistake for them. One opportunity for us. Mara looked at me, eyes wide. Do you really think we can? I smiled, just slightly. Humans always find a way. They might be stronger, faster, more advanced, but we have something they'll never predict. Us. Outside, the alien war continued. Shrieking fighters, exploding plasma, molten firestorms. But inside, a small group of humans huddled together, ready to defy impossible odds. The first night of survival was far from over. But one thing was certain. Humanity would fight, and we would leave a mark that no alien empire would ever forget. Let's move. We survive, we fight, and we show them why humans are never underestimated. The corridor shook again, dust raining from the cracked ceiling. Every vibration carried the ominous hum of alien engines above. VYR crystalline fighters and Drath molten war machines swarmed the skies, searching for the humans who had dared survive their devastation. We don't have much time, I whispered to the crew. The passageway felt claustrophobic, yet it was our only chance. Every heartbeat reminded me of the stakes. If we failed, humanity would lose more than just a ship. We could lose the secret of Earth's technology to 2 alien superpowers. Mara knelt beside a control panel, her fingers flying over the exposed wires. I can hack their sensors long enough for a distraction, but it won't hold them for long. I nodded. Then we make it count. Everyone knows their role. We split their forces, hit weak points, and disappear before they realize what happened. The humans around me nodded, fear etched on their faces but determination burning in their eyes. Fear is natural. Courage is choice. And we were about to choose. We slipped out of the corridor into a natural ridge overlooking a partially destroyed alien outpost. The Dratha's molten cannons roasted the ground below, while VYR fighters flitted like shards of broken glass, scanning relentlessly. I held up the EMP device again. This is it. When I give the signal, Mara triggers the EMP, and we take out as many of their sensors as possible. Then we move. A bead of sweat slid down my temple. My heart raced, but my hands were steady. Now, I shouted. A pulse of blue-white energy rippled across the ridge. Sensors flickered and died. One Drath fighter wobbled in the sky before spiraling into the ruins below. VYR scanners blinked off, leaving their fleet temporarily blind. Move. I yelled. We sprinted across jagged rocks and twisted metal, dodging plasma bursts that cut through the air with sizzling heat. We hit the outpost's weak structural point, a collapsed tower with exposed conduits, and entered. Inside, shadows and debris concealed us. Every breath was heavy, but every step was precise. We had one objective: survive and cripple their operations enough to escape. The aliens were fast, but humans are clever. We set small charges along the structural conduits, timing them to collapse sections of the outpost at the right moment. When the VYR fighters swooped down to investigate, towers fell, scattering the attackers. Molten streams of the Dratha's engines were cut off by the collapsing walls, forcing them to maneuver blindly. This is our advantage, I said, voice low but resolute. We don't fight them head-on, we make them fight themselves. Mara triggered the final charge. Explosions ripped through the alien outpost, sending shards of crystalline and molten metal into the sky. The VYR and Drath fleets recoiled, confusion rippling across their formations. But victory was fleeting. The sound of engines and metallic screeches signaled reinforcements. They were adapting faster than I had anticipated. We ducked into a hidden maintenance shaft, narrow and dark, barely fitting our group. The heat from the battle above made the metal walls almost unbearable. We can't keep running forever, Mara whispered, exhaustion in her voice. No, I admitted. But we don't run. We plan. We strike smart, and we leave them wondering how humans survived. The corridor led to an opening on the far side of the outpost. From there, we could see the alien fleets regrouping. VYR fighters hovered, scanning, while Drath cruisers prepared to unleash another wave of molten fire. It was a deadly dance above our heads, yet we had the advantage of cover, strategy, and unpredictability. I turned to my team. This is our moment. We don't have their technology. They have no idea what humans can do. Let's remind them why we are never underestimated. We made our move, emerging from the shadows and striking precise targets on the alien ground units. Mines we had recovered from the wreckage detonated, disabling several vehicles. Plasma fire from the Drath misfired, forcing their fleet to retreat temporarily. Every second counted. Every move could be the difference between life and death. And every human present knew that the odds were against us, but against impossible odds, humans thrive. Finally, we reached the ridge that led to a hidden canyon below the ruins. It was our escape route, narrow and treacherous, but safe from most of the alien senses. I looked back once, at the burning outpost, the shattered alien machines, and the sky filled with chaos. My team followed silently, exhausted but alive. We survived tonight, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. And tomorrow, we fight again. For the first time in hours, I allowed myself a small, defiant smile. Humanity had survived an overwhelming assault. We had turned the aliens' strength against them. We had proven, once again, that cleverness, courage, and sheer human determination could stand against powers that dwarfed us. Outside, the alien fleets regrouped, preparing for another assault. But inside our small group, a fire burned brighter than any plasma cannon. We were alive. We were human. And we would not be underestimated. "Let them come," I whispered. "They will learn what it means to fight humans. And when they do, we will still be here, ready." The morning on Vespera 4 brought no peace. The violet sky was streaked with smoke and ash, remnants of the collapsed HFY and Drath outpost. Alien engines hummed in the distance as both fleets regrouped, scanning relentlessly for any sign of human survivors. But we were already moving, silent and unseen. "We can't let them recover," I whispered to the team. "If we let them repair their fleets, humanity loses its chance." Mara adjusted her visor. "The EMP worked temporarily, but their sensors are coming back online. We need another distraction, and fast." I scanned the terrain ahead. The canyon below offered concealment, narrow passes, and natural choke points. Perfect for a counterattack. Humans have never fought like aliens. They improvise, they adapt, and they exploit the unexpected. That's exactly what we would do. We split into 3 groups, each with a clear objective. My team would take the high ridge and create a direct distraction. Mara's team would target the alien communication arrays, temporarily blinding both fleets. The third team, led by a tech specialist, would set up EMP charges along the canyon to cripple incoming reinforcements. "Everyone ready?" I asked. Nods. Determination in their eyes. Fear, yes, but also that stubborn human courage that refuses to die even when the odds are astronomical. We moved out. I led my team across jagged rock formations, each step measured. Plasma fire hissed past us, scorching the earth, but our speed and knowledge of the terrain gave us an edge. Reaching the ridge, I looked out across the battlefield. VYR fighters gleamed like shards of crystal, drilling patterns through the smoky sky. Drath cruisers glowed molten red, bristling with weapons. Both fleets were powerful, but they lacked one thing humans had: unpredictability. I gave the signal. Mara's team triggered the secondary EMP charges. A pulse of blue-white energy spread across the canyon, disrupting sensors and communications. VYR scanners flickered and failed, and Drath engines sputtered. Confusion rippled through both fleets. "Now!" I yelled. We opened fire on exposed ground units, targeting power conduits, energy generators, and transport vehicles. Explosions echoed across the canyon as alien machines malfunctioned and crashed into one another. The VYR crystalline wings shattered in midair, molten streams from the Drath cruisers splashed against canyon walls. It was chaos, but controlled chaos. Every move we made was calculated, every strike precise. The humans had turned the battlefield into a trap. From our high vantage point, I saw Mara's team infiltrating the communication array. Sparks and flashes marked their path as they hacked into the alien systems, forcing the fleets to fight blindly. The tech team activated canyon-based EMP charges, sending waves of disruption into incoming reinforcements. Alien ships faltered, misfired, and collided with terrain or each other. A grin spread across my face. Humans were clever. We were defying impossible odds. "Keep moving," I ordered. "Don't let them regain control." Suddenly, a massive Drath warship broke formation and headed directly for our ridge. Its molten plasma cannons aimed to incinerate everything below. "We can't outrun that," one crew member shouted. I scanned the ridge, my mind racing. Humans fight smarter, not just faster. I grabbed a portable charge, calculated the timing, and threw it toward the cliffside. The explosion triggered a rock slide, sending boulders crashing down onto the warship's approach. Its engine sputtered, plasma fire misfired, and it veered off course, colliding with the canyon walls. "Good work," I muttered, heart pounding. But there was no time to celebrate. The alien fleets were regrouping. They would learn quickly, adapt quickly, and strike back harder. I turned to the team. "This is a temporary victory, but it proves something. Humans are never predictable, never weak, and never out of options. We survived one assault, and we can survive another. We can fight them again, on our terms." The team moved through the canyon, setting traps and securing cover. Every step was precise, calculated. The alien forces would come, but we would be ready. Above, VYR and Drath fleets hovered like predators unsure of their prey. Their attacks were hesitant, cautious, because humans had done the impossible. We had turned defense into offense, chaos into strategy. And yet, I knew this was just the beginning. Mara, I said quietly, we've proven we can survive. But survival isn't enough. We need a plan that ensures humanity can fight, can strike, and can endure beyond this planet. She nodded, understanding the weight of the moment. The canyon walls echoed with distant explosions and the occasional scream of malfunctioning alien machinery. The smell of molten metal and ozone hung in the air, a reminder of how close we were to death, and how alive we still were. We reached a hidden alcove deep in the canyon, out of line of sight from the alien fleets. The team collapsed briefly, exhausted but alive. Every pair of eyes reflected fire, defiance, and determination. Humans, fragile, mortal, and yet indomitable, were still standing. I allowed myself a brief moment to breathe, to feel the weight of what we had accomplished. The aliens would regroup, but they had learned something crucial. Underestimated humans are dangerous. Clever, adaptable, and relentless. This is only the beginning, I said. They'll come again, stronger, faster, smarter. But we'll be ready. And when they strike, they will find humans don't just survive, we fight back. Outside, the alien fleets continued to hover, scanning the canyon below. But inside our small group, a fire burned brighter than any plasma cannon or molten engine. Humanity had endured. Humanity had adapted. And humanity would continue to rise. Let them come, I whispered. They'll learn the hard way that humans are never to be underestimated. Not now, not ever. The canyon was quiet, for now. But the war was far from over. The canyon was quiet, too quiet. The alien fleets had pulled back, regrouping somewhere over the violet horizon. VYR crystalline fighters shimmered like broken shards in the distance, while Drath molten cruisers glowed ominously, repairing and recalibrating. But we were not idle. This is our chance, I whispered to the team. They think we're just hiding. They think we're weak. They are wrong. Mara and the tech team had spent the last few hours setting up EMP mines along key points in the canyon and repairing our communications. Using fragments of our starship and scavenged alien tech, we had managed to rig up a temporary sensor network. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to anticipate enemy movements. They are coming, Mara said, her voice low but steady. VYR fighters scanning the ridge. Drath cruisers preparing bombardment. I clenched my fists. It was time. Humanity had survived every impossible assault so far, but now we weren't just surviving, we were striking back. We split into two groups. I led the first, moving along a hidden ridge that overlooked both alien formations. Mara led the second, flanking through the canyon to activate EMP nodes that would cripple alien sensors and communication arrays simultaneously. Every step was calculated, every breath measured. The first wave of VYR fighters swooped in, crystalline wings glinting in the violet sun. Plasma bolts scorched the earth around us. I signaled to the team, and we unleashed a hail of precision fire, small, controlled blasts targeting the fighters' wing stabilizers. Shards of crystal exploded in mid-air as VYR ships spiraled out of control and crashed into the canyon walls. At the same time, Mara's team activated the EMP network. Blue-white pulses raced along the canyon walls, frying sensors and disrupting communication signals. Drath cruisers sputtered as molten streams faltered, engines misfiring. Chaos rippled across both alien fleets. We've got them off balance. I shouted. Push forward. Hit them hard and fast. We moved like shadows, striking with precision. Using the terrain to our advantage, we collapsed old ruins onto Drath assault vehicles, sent boulders crashing down to disable landing pods, and picked off isolated VYR fighters before they could regroup. Each maneuver was calculated, exploiting alien blind spots and weaknesses. From the high ridge, I could see it, two mighty alien empires, powerful and ruthless, struggling to adapt to a handful of humans. We were fragile, but unpredictability was our weapon. Mara's voice crackled in comms. EMP pulse ready. Countdown 3, 2, 1. A second wave of energy pulsed across the battlefield. VYR scanners blinked out entirely. Drath weapons systems rebooted and failed mid-charge. Alien formations faltered. For a moment, it felt as if the battlefield itself was under human control. Now, I yelled. We struck the final blow. Targeted charges we had set earlier detonated simultaneously across key alien supply nodes. Explosions rippled across the horizon, sending VYR and Drath forces scattering. Plasma fire misfired, ships collided, and molten streams of Drath engines ran into canyon walls. For the first time, both fleets were forced to retreat, not because of overwhelming power, but because humans had outsmarted them. I lowered my weapon and took a deep breath, sweat and grime covering my face. My team stared out at the aftermath, eyes wide, hearts racing. We had done it. We had survived impossible odds and turned the battlefield into our advantage. But victory was temporary. Both alien empires would return, stronger and wiser. We had proven something critical today. Humans are never to be underestimated. We fight smarter, adapt faster, and refuse to yield. This is what humanity looks like, I whispered to myself, watching the retreating alien fleets. Small, fragile, but unstoppable when clever, determined, and united. Mara approached, her visor cracked but eyes bright. We did it, Kara. We actually did it. I shook my head with a grin. No, Mara. We survived. And survival is only the first step. Now we prepare. We learn. We fight again, on our terms. And next time, we don't just survive. We take the battle to them. The crew gathered around, tired but alive. Every face reflected exhaustion, adrenaline, and unyielding resolve. Humanity had endured again, defying powers that dwarfed us, proving that courage and intelligence could tip the scales even against the mightiest of enemies. From the ridge, I looked back at the canyon, littered with destroyed alien craft and smoldering ruins. We were few, but we had made the impossible possible. And somewhere deep inside, I felt that unshakable truth. The human spirit is relentless. Let them come, I said, louder this time. We'll be ready. They'll learn that humans never back down. And when they strike again, they'll find that cunning, courage, and heart make us a force no empire can crush. The sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting long shadows across the canyon. The battle was over, for now. But humanity had survived, adapted, and struck back. We had made a statement that would echo across the stars. Humans are never to be underestimated. Rest up, I told the team. Tomorrow, we prepare for what comes next. And I promise, when they return, they will regret ever thinking humans were prey. Above, the alien fleets retreated, shimmering across the violet sky. Below, humans, small, fragile, but unbroken, stood united. The first major victory had been won, but the war for survival, ingenuity, and humanity's future was just beginning. And we were ready. The night sky over Vesperaful was alive with faint starlight, but it could not pierce the smoke and ruins of the battlefield. Alien ships had retreated beyond the horizon, leaving molten wreckage and shattered crystalline debris behind. Our team gathered in the shadowed canyon, bruised, exhausted, yet burning with determination. The humans were alive, and alive meant ready. We can't wait for them to strike again, I said, pacing along the ridge. We've survived. Now it's time to take the fight to them. They think humans are reactive, fragile, predictable. Let's prove them wrong. Mara adjusted the makeshift sensor network we had patched together from Scavenge Tech. Commander, we've mapped their retreat paths, engine recovery points, and supply caches. If we move tonight, we can hit before they are fully operational. I nodded. That was exactly the plan. Humanity's advantage was not strength or numbers, it was cunning. Alien empires measured power in firepower, shields, and fleet size. Humans measured opportunity, improvisation, and unpredictability. We split into two groups. One would disable the VYR supply outpost near the cratered plateau, while the second would infiltrate Drath engineering vessels orbiting above, planting charges on molten conduits. The plan was audacious, nearly suicidal, but survival required audacity. The first group moved silently across jagged terrain, hugging shadows, every step calculated. Plasma fire from distant patrolling fighters lit the sky, but our improvised cloaking devices gave us a ghost-like presence. I led the second group, clambering through twisted hulls and collapsed corridors to reach a Drath orbital tether. "We don't have long," I whispered into the comms. "Timing is everything." Above us, molten cruisers rotated lazily in orbit, their heat barely visible from below. Drath sentries patrolled the outer decks. My team moved like shadows, avoiding laser sweeps and venting heat. Mara, using a portable hacking device, disabled power grids long enough for us to infiltrate the core conduit. "Almost there," she muttered, sweat glinting on her forehead. Every second counted. Outside, the first team had reached the VYR outpost. They planted charges along energy distribution hubs, carefully avoiding detection. Each pulse of their timers was synchronized with our actions in the Drath conduit. "This is it," I said, watching the molten conduits pulse with life. 3, 2, 1. The charges detonated simultaneously. A wave of destruction rippled across both alien forces. VYR energy hubs exploded, sending crystalline shards scattering in every direction. Drath molten conduits ruptured, molten streams spewing into space, forcing the cruisers to retreat. Communications went dark, sensors blinked out, and the fleets were thrown into chaos. From my vantage point, I could see it, massive alien ships faltering, disoriented, vulnerable. The humans on the ground moved with precision, targeting weak points, exploiting every malfunction. Every explosion, every misfire, was a testament to ingenuity over sheer might. "Humans are clever," one of the crew whispered, almost in awe. I smiled, my chest heaving. Clever, yes, but also relentless. That was the difference. Humans do not surrender. Humans adapt. Humans endure. And when we strike with purpose. The aliens regrouped, but their confidence had been shattered. For the first time, VYR and Drath fleets were not merely superior, they were reactive, uncertain, struggling to comprehend how a handful of humans had crippled them. "We've made our mark," Mara said quietly. "They'll never underestimate us again." I shook my head, knowing the fight was far from over. They'll return, I thought. They always do. But next time, they'll face a fully prepared humanity. We moved back toward the canyon, careful and silent. The night was quiet, but every shadow seemed alive, every ridge a potential threat. Humans had survived a near-impossible assault, struck back with precision, and survived again. But the war was far from over. "Remember this night," I said, my voice carrying through the team. "Tonight we proved that humans are not prey. We are adaptable, we are clever, and we will fight. Not because we have to, but because we can, and because we refuse to be crushed." The canyon stretched before us, still glowing with the heat of molten debris and burning crystalline shards. Above, the retreating alien fleets disappeared beyond the horizon, forced to lick their wounds and reconsider their approach. Below, the humans stood, small, fragile, but unbroken, united by courage and shared purpose. "Tomorrow," I whispered, almost to myself, "we go further. We don't just survive. We make them fear the name humanity." The team settled in for a brief rest, weary but alive. Every face showed exhaustion, but also determination, fire, and defiance. We had survived impossible odds, adapted in real time, and struck when the moment was right. That is what humans do. That is what makes us different. Above, stars sparkled through smoke and haze. Vespera 4's ruined landscape glowed in the aftermath of battle, a testament to both alien power and human resilience. Somewhere in that ruined world, across alien empires' fleets, our defiance would echo. We were alive. We were clever. And we would not be underestimated. "Let them come," I said, louder this time. "We are ready. And when they strike, they will find that humans don't just survive. They dominate, adapt, and fight."